Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Today's question comes from a guy who calls himself Buzz, which could be, and I think there was Buzz Aldrin that went to the moon, something like that. Anyway, Buzz, and he asks not to be identified. He has a 50-foot freestanding tower with nothing on it. And he wants to know what to put on it. What you want to put on it is a Hex Beam or a Yagi, okay? But failing that, the next thing I would do is load the tower as a vertical. There are ways that you can load freestanding towers that are grounded at the bottom so that they will act as a vertical. And you ought to look at that, because that would be a whale of a vertical and would work well. You could probably even get it to load on 160 meters. But he said he was given 3 antennas for free. There's the old adage that things are generally worth what you pay for them. Okay, so, but there's one CHA 250B. He says BX, but the 250B is an antenna by Comet, designed for HF. It's a vertical. It does not require radials according to the manufacturer. Also, it's not band specific, and the thing will have less than a 1.6 to 1 SWR across all bands. I've always been leery of those claims, because it means the antenna is not necessarily resonant. And if you don't want the radials, my question is what it's working against. I think what you can do is put the positive lead of your coax, the center conductor, to the antenna, and then ground the other to the top of the tower. Obviously, you don't need a rotator with that type of an antenna. Now, the second antenna he got was a 5 BTV, which is very similar. It's an antenna that you can use with or without radials. Now, you've got a problem putting a vertical antenna atop a tower, because if you do radials, they have to be tuned. So here's your tower, 50 feet. Okay, here's your antenna, which is nowhere near 50 feet. Okay, great lightning attractor. Make sure everything's very well grounded and you've got proper lightning protection both at the bottom of the tower and at your shack. To use this as a true vertical antenna, you need radials out from here, 1 set per band, and they need to be tuned. Okay, tuned. Now, the length of each of those radials, the total length, is 468 over the frequency in megahertz. So you cut them on by that. And so you've got to attach these radials to something. If you do the, see, what was that first one there? The CHA 250, you can put it up there without the radials and just use that. Okay, if you've got this beautiful tower, which is a freestanding tower, I would take a look at a Hex Beam, which would be your most inexpensive way of getting up on this. It's kind of looks like an upside down bird cage. A Hex Beam, but you need a rotator. Now that's what I have atop the 20-foot pole. I wish it were up at 50 feet, but it's not. Okay, so Buzz was so intent that he get a reply from me that he sent the same email to me, I think 4 times, wording it slightly differently each way. I got all of them. One was in May 29th, and June 9th, okay, all asking the same question. So I would say look at, if you want to just use it as a vertical, look at the handbook and look at the antenna book on ways to load a vertical tower. Okay, you'll come up to the side of the ways and attach to it. There may be a capacitor and an inductor involved, but you can load that tower, and if you put the right type of tuner there, you can load it on all bands. Okay? That would be a very interesting thing to do. Since those other antennas are free, I would say you want to put the CHA250B up on top there because it claims not to require verticals. You would have awesome coverage with that antenna. I would look out for lightning, and because it's just asking for it being up there. So make sure that since it's up so high, you use a good grade of coax like RG8. I would not recommend RG8X. RG8, RG213, or LMR 400 would go up there, depending on how much you want to spend on it. And make sure that I would consider the lightning arresters mandatory, one at the base of the tower, the other closer to the shack, just where the feed line goes into your shack. Okay. And you might look at the Hex Beam. I have a Hex Beam. I really like it. It increases the power by 60 dB, and that is a full S unit that you could get there. It has the disadvantage of, in the other quadrants, it lowers the response, and it doesn't need a rotator. But something to look at, something to look at. So I would say you've got some choices here. I'm not going to say use this one or do that, just telling you a little bit about your choices. You are, after all, going to make the final choice yourself. So the other thing you can do with it is put up an end-fed dipole and pull that one end all the way up to the top of the tower. Let me talk for a moment about tower safety. I do this every time I talk about towers. Towers is not a subject for the beginning ham. Okay, they're expensive, they're dangerous, they're complex, they require engineering, they require permits, things like that. Okay, but if you've got this 50-foot freestanding tower, like if you moved into the house with it, get it inspected by a tower engineer, okay, to make sure that it's actually climbable. 2, take a course on learning how to climb towers, or hire the people that will do that. 3, whenever working around or on towers, do not do so alone. Always have a helper and one person whose entire responsibility it is to call 911 in the event something goes wrong. Okay, if you wait for your assistant who's holding tight onto a rope that he can't let go of to call 911, it becomes very difficult. I would suggest your lifelong partner, whoever, a neighborhood kid, whatever, have somebody there whose sole responsibility it is to call 911. So there you have it. I hope that gives you some ideas of what to do. And if you enjoy this channel and enjoy these videos, please help fund them by going to dcastler.com/support. There are 3 ways there that you can support. One is that I'm kind of pushing recently is Patreon. Patreon. You become a patron of the channel. Go to patreon.com/KE0OG, and that will take you to my Patreon setup. You can choose whatever level you want. It's one of those little things. It's a monthly fee to support a creator. So, and yes, I do pay taxes on all of this money. Thank you all very much, and until we next meet, 73.